Hello Gemini friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my Gemini May 2022 Astrology Must-Knows Horoscope Forecast. This is for you if Gemini is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other Gemini placement that you watch for. This is part of your astrological picture. And if you are a very late degree Gemini friend, so we'll say June 15th through the rest of the sign, or like 23 degrees to the rest of the sign, I additionally suggest that you listen to or watch my Cancer report. Okay, so Gemini and Cancer for you very late degree people, because you will have pieces in each. Definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com. That is the interface for all the free goodies that I make for you each month. And if you forget that website address by the time the video is done, then if you're watching on YouTube, click on the little more button with the arrow to reveal the notes underneath the video. And if you are a podcast listener, my syndicated podcast, Astro Kisses, you can look in the notes underneath the podcast to find the goodies. I do also write written horoscopes that are less complex, but definitely really great summaries of how to use the energy. And it also includes great books for each sign for each month. Okay, so one big admin thing we need to do first is to thank you for the fact that I've just crossed the milestone of 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Obviously, I couldn't do it without you. And I am so excited to have been bringing all of this information to you for a decade and showing up for you regardless of what's going on in my life. And I am so grateful for your support and all of your kind words over all of these years. So we're continuing to move forward, and I'm excited to continue to show up for you. So what's going on in May of 2022? We've got a lot of things to talk about. Birthdays, we've got the eclipse, a lunar eclipse. We've got tides turning back in with retrograde, including retrograde in your sign, Gemini, of Mercury. We have a continuation of Pisces planets, which have been a little annoying for Gemini placements. So we'll talk about very good news there, which is that it's ending finally. So yay, we're going to celebrate that together because I'm a fire sign and anything in excessive water is a nuisance to me as well. And then we're going to talk about the more yay of the Aries placements that are fueling your beautiful air, and especially that big move of Jupiter into Aries. And we're also going to talk about two once-in-a-lifetime aspects and what area of the chart those can affect you. So as usual, we have our plate very full with goodies. So let's just take them piece by piece. First big must know is that once again this month, we had this in April, now we have it in May, we've got almost double the sweet aspects compared to the salty ones. So if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that I talk about the sweet aspects as the good yummy ones, the ones where the planets are in accord, and the salty ones as the bumps, the little the ones that we feel that are kind of annoying and can be a little stressful. So there are much more of the sweet ones, and that does give us a nice template for the month. It's not everything, but it is definitely a piece of our astrological picture, and it is something to celebrate. Okay, so the next big must know is that we've got the tides turning in, back and in. March and April have been all about the tides going out, paddling furiously with the tides supporting you to get as far and as fast as possible. All of the beautiful Aries energies giving, buoyancy and support and inspiration and ambition. All the stars saying, yes, it's time for agreements. Yes, it's time for big purchases and big decisions and clarity and busyness. Very, 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 very busy. And time for launches, anything that if you ask yourself, is this something that I don't want to be returned back to me super quickly? Is this something I want to launch out really far and wide? And if it is, March and April are your great times to set those into motion. Once we get into May and the first half of June, anything you set into motion is very likely going to come back to you quicker than you thought, like a message in the bottle with the tide coming in. Okay, so you don't want to try to set your big things afloat, but it's a perfect time if you want to do a little dabbling, experiment with something, just kind of play. If what you're doing doesn't really have any consequence, or it doesn't need to be long-term and it's intended to be short-term, that's perfect for that. Little sprucing up, little creative, blips, just doing business as usual, edits, going back over things, anything where you are the earthworm. If you're not familiar with what goes on with earthworms, they push soil from their front end out their back end, and then they keep doing that over and over again. And so you put the earthworms in the soil if they're not already there. and they make beautiful, fine, fertile soil for great growth. So this is a time where we sort of pull back in, we show up for what wants to show up, and we don't have to conjure things. It's easy for Geminis to conjure things, right? Because y'all like to be busy. I'm a Sag, so I get it. We're the same in that way. We like to be busy, we like variety, we like to be in motion, and that's fine. There will be a lot of that at this time. But just kind of skip the things that you need super clarity about. Skip the things that you need super secure plans or definites about. Skip the things that are the long-term things that you're trying to agree to now. You don't have all the information you need and things are going to change. And don't stress yourself out by making a bunch of plans, because they're either going to A, be canceled, period. B, get called into question. Maybe they'll wind up working out, but maybe they won't. And C, they're going to change. Okay, so if you write things in pencil, you tell everyone, hey, I'm saying maybe I'm going to do this, don't hold me to it, you'll be so much happier. And the less you schedule, the more you'll leave room for last minute magic. Okay, that's the big thing that I love the most about the retrogrades, is that events, opportunities, offers, conversations, invites can come in randomly. There's an increase in odds that will happen, and that random plans can be amazing. Like an impromptu event, like, hey, we're having some people over. And then it's like, wow, it wasn't planned, but those work out really well at this time. People think you can't travel during Mercury retrograde. Not true. You can, but there are caveats. If it has to be exactly like this and in these time frames and work out this certain way, that's going to be very stressful. But if it's, I think we'll leave around this time, and we've checked everything on the car, and we have our backup plan, and you're flying and you check your gates, and you leave extra time, then you can flow with the retrograde energies and it can be perfectly fine. But the odds that your gate's going to be changed at the last second and then you're traveling all the way across the airport are very much increased, or that you drift past what they're saying at your exit, or your I just forgot the word, when your plane place where you board. In any case, so some information comes and then you're like, all of those things are increased in odds. All right, so just kind of know that if you're traveling, those are the kind of things that you might come across, which could be fine. Okay, so April 27th through June 18th is the time when the tides are turning inwards and backwards, the time to clean up unfinished business, the time to focus on the past more than the future, and to focus on the very beautiful, luscious, precious moment, present, precious moment, more than trying to worry about what you're going to make happen. Okay, so it's a beautiful reprieve that we get from the busyness of how humanity has become. The official retrograde is May 10th through June 3rd, but the April 27th through June 18th is going to encompass the shadow periods, which are also just as relevant. Now, if you do need to do something, push it out, and you need that support, and you can't fit it in March and April, the second half of June, all of July, and the first 3 weeks of August are our last, but also very beautiful, launching pad. So you will have another chance before Mars and then Mercury goes retrograde, which will take over September through the rest of the year and into 2023. Okay, so what else do we have here? Let's talk about Pisces placements and how annoying they have been. Okay, so I'm an optimist and I like to focus on what is positive about something, even if it's difficult. All right, so Pisces energy has brought a lot of good focus to our emotions. It can bring a lot of very long-term psychological breakthroughs from stopping to feel your feelings, showing up for other people and their feelings. There's been a lot of that's going on in Gemini's world, and you have been either very, very strongly working with some emotional things, or you're sitting by while other people are emoting all over the place. And in any case, it's been a lot. Okay, so the benefits are deepening of intimacy, strengthening of your relationships, deepening of your intuition, artistic creativity being enhanced, and a lot of other things like that. Connections with the spiritual beings, or angels or loved ones who've passed, things like that. But water and air make this, well, in this case, a square. A square is a pressure point. So the pressure is on and you feel that. And as the planets move into Aries, you're not going to feel that anymore. So things are going to start lightening. And I could not be happier because, like I said, I have a lot of planets in Sag. And so fire placements are our big friends. Now, what happens though is that we can exhaust ourselves. So regardless of the fact that May is retrograde, don't think that that means that you're not going to be busy, because you are going to be so busy. It's going to be crazy. Little trips, big trips, running around, things, taking your kids to camp, driving all over, trying to manage all that, things that are going on for all of May and the first half of June. And really into June, full June, as the Gemini placements, continue. You're going to be going all around and doing a lot of things. You're going to be talking to a lot of people, but you might have lots of stimulating conversations, lots of fulfilling conversations, but you are going to burn yourself out, okay? Gemini rules the lungs and the respiratory system. So when Gemini is too prolifically expressive or running around too much, that weakness, that natural weakness in your respiratory system can cause you to get sick. And of course, the stakes are higher these days of burning yourself out because viruses wait, they lurk in your being, in your cells. They're just there, opportunists that they are, and they wait for you to have your immune system compromised, and then they take root. Okay, so our goal for you is for you to make it through this time without any of that happening. And the way that you can do that is by focusing on getting a lot of sleep, no matter how worked up you are, on taking whatever supplements that can support your immune system. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to, recommend what could be good for you personally, but vitamin C is something that I take. You can look at other immune boosters and make sure they're okay for you. And just things that generally will support your system. And I hate to have to bring this up again, but try to avoid excess sugar. It's a scientific truth that for at least 24 hours after you take in sugar, your immune system is compromised. And in that period of time that it's compromised, something that's been lurking can actually take root. So I just want to put that out there because I want you to be safe and happy and healthy. And I know your tendencies and I want to help you work with them. Okay, so good news is that Venus is getting the heck out of Pisces and going into Aries, creating a 60-degree angle of opportunities, kisses from the planet that rules love, beauty, money, and relationships. So enhancements and boosts to love, finances, relationships, money, self-esteem. It's my Grandma Marge. We have not talked about my Grandma Marge in a while. I used to talk about her all the time. But let's bring her back around now, because as Venus, who I always feel my Grandma Marge was the physical embodiment of the energy of Venus, what does Venus rule? Sustenance. When I'd see she's one of my Italian relatives, she'd always reach up for whatever reason. My Italian relatives have always been smaller than me, and even when I was a kid. I don't know why. I guess I'm kind of tall, maybe. But she would lift her hand up, pop a meatball in my mouth. She'd hug me. She'd tell me how wonderful I am. Okay, so like the self-esteem, the support is a part of Venus. She'd give me some money. The money part is a part of Venus. And she'd bring me in her cozy home, all Venus. Okay, so this is the energy that is coming to make kisses for you. And there's some special extra juice here in your house of friendships and friendship circles. So you might play a role of my Grandma Marge to some people, new or old friends, or they might help support you. Okay, so just imagine that Venus wants to come and wrap you in wonderful coziness, and that you're all going to get kisses from my Grandma Marge. Now, Mars is also going to move into Aries, and Mars is going to give you kisses that involve stamina, longevity, vibrant health and wellness, ambition, productivity, and the wherewithal to take care of all of the millions of things that you are going to be dealing with at this time. Okay, there is lots of stuff, and a lot of it can be very, very good, including little trips, travel, driving. Like I said, you're going to be driving around, or you're going to be talking to people. It's a good thing that you have the support from Mars, because you are going to be all over the place. All right, so now let's talk about Jupiter is also going to go into Aries, but we're going to talk about that later. Now, Mercury is retrograde in Gemini. It's only going to be retrograde in the first couple of degrees. So those of you at the beginning of Gemini, like the May 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, like you all in there, are all going to be most affected by the Mercury retrograde. But since Mercury rules Gemini, all of you are going to be affected, but there's a little extra juice there. So what's going to happen? You're going to question things, question who you are, what you're doing, what you want to be doing. You're going to question how people see you. You're going to want to try on different things. You know, these days, everything is wide open for us to explore about our expression. How we age, you know, what we call ourselves as far as age, what we identify with as far as gender, the roles as far as traditional mother and father roles, they're like open, wide open. You know, moms are working hard, bringing home bucks, and dads are, you know, home with kids, and everything is happening different the way than it used to, and it's wide open for any version of the spectrum. And this is going to be factoring in for Geminis as to where you're stuck in roles that you don't resonate with, and where you want to try on some things to see if they have resonance. It's a very big exploratory journey, and this next, we'll say, especially 6-ish weeks, like May and the first half of June, you're going to be experimenting with these things. Now, as you experiment with these things, try to not do anything permanent, because remember, it's an experiment and you want to have the right to go back, right? Okay. So if you're experimenting with your image, like maybe get a henna tattoo instead of a real one, you know, maybe get a wig or tie your hair up in a way that where it looks short rather than cut your hair off. You know, this is maybe borrow some clothes or get some secondhand clothes, these kind of things. So you see, I'm giving you examples of how to understand the energy so that you can apply this in that many different ways that it might show up in your life. But this is definitely coming up strongly for you. Okay, so let's talk about birthdays. So before your birthday, so basically May-born Geminis are going to have your birthdays. I have one very close to me, so we'll be celebrating. Happy birthday to all of you May-born Geminis. And definitely make your birthday wishes. Say them out loud, write them down, and feel them as if they've already come true. You can look up my video, Making Wishes Come True. If you just search for Annie Botticelli, Making Wishes Come True, then you can see more about how to manifest and use your astrological power period of your solar return. But in any case, what happens before your birthday? Okay, so basically what's going to happen for those of you who are having your birthday, and when I say birthday, I'm also talking about your solar pass over whatever your Gemini placement is. So if you're watching for your moon, or you're watching for your rising, you're watching for another placement, you're going to have the sun cross over whatever that Gemini placement is. And while it's not a birthday, it is a new cycle and a yearly cycle of rebirth. All right, so you still have what I'm about to talk about, which is if your placement is 0 to 10 degrees in the weeks in the earlier part of May, you're going to have massive crowding in your 12th house. All right, we'll get back to what that means. Those of you who are June born, this is going to be staggered a little bit. So you might not start feeling this more strongly until the end of May, beginning of June. And those of you at the end of the sign, you'll feel this more like, you know, into a week or two into June. This will get really strong, which is your 12th house being flooded, which brings up doubts, anxiety, you know, second guessing, any self-esteem issues. Your 12th house of your unconscious mind is super busy. So already Gemini's loop, right? If you haven't already looked into the Bach flower remedy, white chestnut, then check it out. Bach flower remedies are completely safe. The only thing you have to watch out with them is that a lot of them are preserved in alcohol. So if you have any, I mean, you're only using a couple of drops at a time, you'd have to be super sensitive to alcohol, you know, for that to be a problem. But I give them to kids and dogs and myself. You can put them on your skin, but they help to vibrationally assist anything you've got going on. And white chestnut is the mental loops. Okay. So this is a time where your mental loops, your mind's going to be doing gymnastics, because It's purposeful. Everything in the universe is coherent. We know this. We see the golden ratio present in the mean distance between the planets. So the solar system is set up with mathematical certainty and coherence. And that makes me believe that there's proof scientifically of a spiritual benevolent source. Okay, it's very comforting to me, and maybe it will be for you too. I talk about this more in my book Planetology. I've got some nice diagrams to explain this. But in any case, it's purposeful that you get anxious before your birthday and your 12th house gets flooded because you get to address the fears, the addictions, the worries, the anxiety, and see some things that you don't want, so that you can affirm in with your rebirth energy of the sun crossing over whatever your placement is of what you do want. All right. So this is a big time for you all, and you're all going to be feeling this in the time frame that I just listed. So that's important to note. And then once it crosses over, now it's time for the rebirth and, getting out of the mind and emotions and getting back into the physical aspects of things and moving on. Okay, so now let's talk about these Jupiter aspects. We've got one aspect, Jupiter-Neptune conjunct Pisces. The strongest part of that is in April 8th through 12th, but March through May, we're feeling it. That's at 23 degrees, and that is in Pisces. And then we've got Jupiter in Pisces, sextile Pluto. Both of these can be once in a lifetime events, all right? Now, Jupiter and Neptune getting together and Jupiter and Pluto getting together, they happen more frequently. But in those particular signs, the last time the Jupiter-Neptune one happened was 1856. The last time this Jupiter-Pluto one happened, prior to the most recent ones, was in the 1700s. So once in a lifetime energy is happening for you, and it's happening for you in your work, career, anything having to do with your place out in the world. Again, if you don't need to make money, this is your purpose, this is your passion, this is what you're putting out there. This is your relationships with father figures, male energies in your life. Notice I say energy, not having to be gender specific. And, just basically figuring out what the heck you're doing and what you're here to do. So you've got two aspects that are once in a lifetime energies that are bringing this to you. Okay, so just be aware that that's happening. Now, the Jupiter-Pluto one is strongest May 1st through 5th, but we'll feel it April through June. All right, and I do have separate videos on each of those aspects, and I do highly recommend that you watch them. So search for Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, Annie Botticelli, Jupiter sextile Pluto, Annie Botticelli. Search for those in YouTube, and you'll find the detailed reports about these. All right, so now let's talk about the eclipse, and then we'll go into Jupiter and Aries. The eclipse is going to be at 25 degrees of Scorpio, May 16th. This is in an awkward angle for you. You'll be feeling some tensions. A lot of those tensions are going to come in your relationship space, your shared finances. The tensions can come in your health or healing, or with pets. Your pet could have something that's been going on, and something additional can happen at this time. Might need more attention or something notable. Now, this is an awkward angle, but it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be something bad, but you will be feeling the pressure. It might be time to get more organized. It might be time to be more productive. It might be time to, get some daily practices in place that will support your stress management, these kind of things. Now, I highly recommend that you watch my in-depth videos about eclipses in Scorpio. Okay, so all Geminis, look for Annie Botticelli, eclipses in Scorpio. Do that search in YouTube. It's also on my homepage under the eclipse playlist, because that will be relevant for you. That's the sign of the eclipse. Then look for eclipses in 6th house or Virgo. So Annie Botticelli, eclipses in Virgo. And that's going to be the whole house placement for all Geminis. And you can see more about how I've seen that manifest. Now, from the Placidus perspective, if you're June born or 11 degrees to the rest of the sign, I also recommend that you watch the Annie Botticelli eclipses in Leo video, because in the Placidus chart, those of you as you get later into the sign have a good chance, if not a definite chance, of having that manifest in your 5th house as well. Okay, so definitely want to check that out. All right, so Jupiter is going to move into Aries. This is super fabulous for Geminis. We've been waiting for this. We've been having to deal with Jupiter and Pisces. As I said, there were positive things, but it's been very difficult as well. Definitely clouding and cramping your style and your certainty and your self-esteem in many cases. And now that it's in Aries, it will be there for a year. Okay, even though it's going to dip back into Pisces at the end of this year, just for a couple of degrees, it's never going to leave Aries or be far enough away from it that it will lose its influence. So from May of 2022 to May of 2023, you're going to have Jupiter in Aries, and this is going to aspect your 11th house of Aquarius. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what can happen when the energies of Jupiter mix with the energies of this house, and what you're likely to see that Jupiter wants, wonderful goodies that Jupiter wants to bring to you over the next year. Okay, so when we're looking at Jupiter moving through the 11th house or the sign of Aquarius, we're going to add our Jupiter rules and Jupiter key points to the energy of the 11th house in Aquarius, and the planet Uranus even, since that rules Aquarius. And any additive effects here will be the potentials that you can see for the transit. So let's break this down. The 11th house rules big dreams. Okay, that's my top thing, which isn't even on this list, but I'm going to put it there. Big dreams, not the ones you have at night, but the huge visions for your life, your lifetime aspirations. So when Jupiter's in this house, your chance of laying the groundwork or having major expansion on the road to fulfillment of your biggest dreams gets a major boost. Okay, so Jupiter transits are never a time to go small in anything that is there it's ruling. Okay, so you want to go big. And if there's something crazy, like if someone would ask you and say, what would you do if you could absolutely do anything? Those are the things to go for. Okay, because even if you don't get to them, you will still go further than you would have if you didn't try. All right, that's a very big rule of Jupiter. People who have strong Jupiter in their chart know this, and they do it naturally. This is a time when those energies can fuel this area of your life or any area of your life. Okay, so you're going to go through the expanded version of your wildest dreams. The next thing to know is that Aquarius in the 11th house rules friends, friendships, social circles, acquaintances, social media and all internet-based projects, groups, large organizations, humanitarian efforts, community projects, online communities, your place within the group, all of that. So to get the full support of Jupiter in this placement, you have to say yes to some things that people invite you to, and options and opportunities that you have to connect with people this way. Now, it doesn't mean you have to indiscriminately not be discerning and go to everything. You still want to fine-tune your intuition. You want to follow the, the guidance that you're getting in the signs, and follow them and say yes to the things that you need to say yes to. But you definitely want to be asking the question, should I be going to this? Whether it's an event online or whether it's a meeting, or even if someone wants to introduce you to an acquaintance or someone that could turn out to be very important. The odds of someone introducing you to someone that becomes key in your life are very pronounced at this time. But again, you have to say yes, okay? So the more people you connect with, the more Jupiter has a chance to work its magic. And during the time that Jupiter's in this position, amazing things can happen at this time, but remember that it also plants seeds for the future. So you can meet someone during this transit who some years from now could wind up playing a key role. And the importance of the things that go on now might not be completely evident in this time frame. Okay? So that's very important to know. Anything that's working for the greater good is very well supported at this time, and anything having to do with humanitarian efforts or trying to help people or band together for a common purpose is going to have Jupiter's full support in your life. All right? So when Jupiter moves to the 11th house, it's a great time to lean on your friends, and it's also a great time to be there for them. They might need more help, or you might need more help. Or you might make a bunch of new friends. It can definitely add to your friendship circle when Jupiter is here. And it's really a great time for friendship enrichment and also growth and healing from seeing yourself as part of a group and not feeling isolated and finding like-minded people that you resonate with. So adding your creativity to a group project can work in amazing ways. Also, inventions and innovation, tech things are all ruled here. So if you're doing anything on those fronts, of course, in the internet website, if you want to launch a website or do internet-based projects, you have all the luck and benevolence and amplification and addition of this. Watch out for the excess. Diversification is also key, and you might broaden your approach. Aquarius is also one of the rulers of astrology. So, and some metaphysical aspects and even new age things. So you might find that you're interested in those things more, or that you're expanding your knowledge on those topics. Okay, so I've given you lots to work with to help you make the most of the energies this month and to help you understand the energetic patterns at work and play. And if you'd like more resources, I've got all of these here. You can additionally go to the little more button, the little arrow underneath the bottom right of the video. Click on that, and all of the links that I'm giving you here will be clickable, right? So if you're looking for reading options, including a beautiful, very detailed 45-minute audio of your birth chart for $33 from my brilliant husband, you can find that at anniebclarity.com. You can go to anniehelpsyou.com, sign up for my free email newsletter. This is where you can access running a free birth chart. This is where you access my 28-day in-depth virtual coaching program called Shine for free. This is also where you'll find tons of blogs, and you get lots of other perks for being on my newsletter list. If you're looking for written horoscopes by me, always up a month early, you can go to cozybysweetstarlight.com. If you haven't seen this site, go to it. It is so beautiful. We've got, me and my team have lots of amazing astrology-inspired blogs and healthy living blogs. We've got hypnosis for all the signs. We've got healing frequencies for all the signs. I've got the written horoscopes that I write. We have yoga for all the signs. So it's just a very beautiful, comprehensive site. If you're looking for free courses on how to manifest money and wellness, you can go to lumlife.com, my school, Luminous Life Multiversity, LUMLIFE. You can also find my astrology education courses here, including my behemoth of a master course called Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery Course, which you can fully utilize even if you don't want to be a professional astrologer, but it certainly will get you up to the level where you could be and show you how to make your business a success. And payment plans are available there too. Now, I've also got 2 books out and more on the way. Planetology, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe. You will find this on the bookshelves in all major booksellers, including all the Books A Million, all the Barnes & Nobles. It's right there on the shelf. Plus, you can get it on Amazon and through any independent bookseller. And you can find Radical Prayer on Amazon, and you can order it anywhere as well. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.